Everybody is looking for answers to the Zodiac Killer mystery. Welcome to Enigma Uncharted. Subscribe for more mysterious real-life incidents. The first confirmed attack, December 20th, 1968. It was a cold night on December 20th, 1968. High school sweethearts Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were on their first date. They drove to a secluded spot on Lake Herman Road. The couple parked their car, looking for privacy. They did not expect what would happen next. Out of the darkness, a figure emerged. The stranger approached the car. Without warning, he fired a gun. David was shot in the head. Betty Lou tried to escape, but she was shot 5 times in the back. Their bodies were found shortly after. The police were baffled. They had no suspects and no motive. This was just the beginning. The Zodiac Killer had made his first move. Blue Rock Springs Park. Attack, July 1969. On July 4th, 1969, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau drove to Blue Rock Springs Park. The night was warm and the park was a popular spot. Their quiet evening was shattered by a car pulling up beside them. A man got out and approached the couple. He flashed a bright light and then fired multiple shots. Mike survived, but Darlene did not. This was the second confirmed attack by the Zodiac Killer. The terror did not end there. On July 31st, the Zodiac sent letters to 3 newspapers. Each letter contained a piece of a cryptogram. He demanded they publish the letters on the front page. Failure to comply would result in more murders. The cipher was a challenge. The message revealed a chilling insight into the killer's mind. The Zodiac was not just a murderer, he was a master of fear. The Zodiac's letters were more than just confessions, they were taunts. He enjoyed playing games with the police and the media. The first cipher was cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife. It read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." The letters were filled with symbols and codes. Each one was more intricate than the last. The Zodiac used these letters to boast about his crimes. He even provided details only the killer would know. This added authenticity to his claims. One of the most infamous letters was sent on August 4th, 1969. The killer claimed responsibility for several murders. He also threatened to attack a school bus. He said he would just shoot out the front tire and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out. The police were under immense pressure. The public was terrified. The Zodiac had everyone on edge. His letters were a blend of narcissism and sadism. He thrived on the fear he instilled. Lake Berryessa attack, September 27th, 1969. September 27, 1969, was a sunny day at Lake Berryessa. College students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were enjoying a picnic. Their peaceful day was interrupted by a man wearing a hooded costume. The outfit had a white crosshair symbol on the chest. The man tied them up. He then brutally stabbed both of them. Brian was stabbed 6 times and Cecilia 10 times. The killer left a message on Brian's car door. It included the dates of his previous attacks and the symbol of the crosshair. Cecilia died from her injuries. Brian survived to describe the attacker. The description matched previous accounts. The Zodiac was growing bolder. He was no longer just using a gun, he was using a knife. The attack at Lake Berryessa was different. It was more personal, more brutal. The killer had taken his time. This added a new layer of terror. The Zodiac was unpredictable and ruthless. No one knew where he would strike next. Section 5. The murder of Paul Stine, October 11th, 1969. Paul Stine was a cab driver in San Francisco. On October 11th, 1969, he picked up a fare. The passenger asked to be taken to Presidio Heights. It was a routine job, but for Paul Stine, it was his last. The passenger shot Paul in the head. He then took Paul's wallet and car keys. He also tore off a piece of Paul's shirt. The killer walked away calmly. Several witnesses saw him, but did not realize what had happened. The police arrived quickly. They initially thought it was a robbery. But then they received a letter from the Zodiac. It included the piece of Paul Stein's shirt. The letter confirmed that the Zodiac was the killer. This murder was different from the others. It was in a populated area. The killer had taken a huge risk, but it paid off. The Zodiac had once again managed to escape. The police were left with more questions than answers. Section 6. Taunting letters and terrifying threats. The Zodiac loved to taunt the police and the media. His letters were filled with threats and boasts. He claimed to have killed as many as 37 people, but not all of his claims were verified. The letters were a mix of truth and lies. One of the most chilling letters was sent on November 9th, 1969. The Zodiac wrote about the Paul Stein murder. He described the killing in detail. He also included another piece of Paul Stein's shirt. The letter ended with a threat. The Zodiac said he would kill school children. The police and the public were terrified. The Zodiac had proven he could kill anyone, anywhere. His threats were taken very seriously. Schools were put on high alert. Parents were afraid to send their children to school. The Zodiac's letters were not just about killing, they were about power. He enjoyed knowing that he could control people through fear. His letters were a way to keep that power alive. Each one was a reminder of his presence. Section 7. The Enigmatic Suspects. The Zodiac case had many suspects. Some were more plausible than others. The police followed every lead, but the killer remained elusive. Each suspect brought a new theory, but none could be definitively linked to the crimes. One of the early suspects was a man named Arthur Leigh Allen. He was a convicted child molester. He matched some of the descriptions given by survivors. He also owned a Zodiac brand watch. The watch had the same crosshair symbol used by the killer. Another suspect was Richard Gajkowski. He was a journalist with the San Francisco Chronicle. Some believed he had the skills to write the complex letters. He also resembled the composite sketches of the Zodiac, but there was no concrete evidence linking him to the crimes. The list of suspects was long. Each one seemed to fit in some way, but none were a perfect match. The Zodiac remained a mystery. The police were frustrated. The public was left to wonder who was the Zodiac killer. Section 8. Arthur Leigh Allen, the prime suspect. Arthur Leigh Allen was the most prominent suspect. He had a criminal record and a disturbing history. He was known to be violent. He also had a fascination with the Zodiac case. Allen became the focus of the investigation in the early 1970s. Allen's behavior was suspicious. He bragged about being the Zodiac. He owned a typewriter and a gun that could have been used in the crimes. He also matched the physical description given by survivors, but there was no definitive proof. In 1991, police searched Allen's home. They found bomb-making materials and sexually explicit materials, but none of it linked him to the Zodiac crimes. Allen was questioned multiple times. He always denied being the Zodiac. Allen died in 1992. The case against him was never closed. Many believe he was the Zodiac, but the lack of concrete evidence left the case open. Allen remains a figure of intrigue. Was he the Zodiac or just an unfortunate suspect? Section 9. The enduring mystery. The Zodiac case remains unsolved. Despite extensive investigations, the killer was never caught. The case files are still open. New evidence occasionally comes to light. But the Zodiac's true identity remains a mystery. The case has captivated people for decades. It has inspired books, movies, and TV shows. The Zodiac's taunting letters and cryptic ciphers continue to fascinate. The case is a blend of horror and mystery. It is a story that refuses to fade away. The Zodiac's victims have not been forgotten. They are remembered in the countless investigations and theories. Their families still seek justice. The case is as much about the victims as it is about the killer. Their stories are a reminder of the human cost of the Zodiac's terror. The Zodiac case is a haunting chapter in history. It is a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human psyche. The mystery endures, keeping the public and investigators engaged. The Zodiac remains one of the most infamous serial killers in history. Section 10. Ongoing fascination with the Zodiac case. The Zodiac case continues to capture the public's imagination. New theories and suspects emerge regularly. Amateur sleuths and professional investigators alike are drawn to the case. The internet has become a hub for Zodiac enthusiasts. Forums and websites are dedicated to solving the mystery. The unsolved nature of the case is a big part of its allure. People are fascinated by the idea of an unidentified killer. The Zodiac's cryptic messages add another layer of intrigue. Each new piece of evidence reignites interest in the case. Movies and documentaries keep the story alive. Zodiac, directed by David Fincher, is one of the most well-known films about the case. It portrays the frustration and obsession of those who tried to catch the killer. The film has introduced the case to a new generation. The Zodiac case is more than just an unsolved mystery. It is a symbol of the unknown. It challenges our understanding of crime and justice. The killer's ability to evade capture is both terrifying and fascinating. The Zodiac case will continue to captivate and mystify for years to come. Subscribe, like, comment and share to Enigma Uncharted.